No one changed the clock?
No one changed.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have a couple excused absences tonight. Eric is away. Bill, I'll ask you to fill in for voting on any applications you can vote on, including the minutes. And Jamie is also not here, so Mikhail, if you could sit in for Jamie. So the first item on the agenda, are there any public comments or any items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, I will close the public. Did you have, just bending over, ready to get up here? Seeing no public comments, I will close the public comments. Review and approval of the minutes. We have 3 meetings to approve. First one is September 11th. Do I have a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for September 11th, 2018.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
Jane Ford.
Are there any comments, edits, clarifications? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Second set is the meeting minutes of the 19th of September. I have a motion. This was the joint town council planning board meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of September 19th, 2018 minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Again, any further discussion on that, edits or amendments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
Gretchen, did you vote on that?
Yes,
Okay.
Thank
I was
you.
just thinking I wouldn't abstain from that one, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, now, the 19th you were there.
That was a
Yeah.
joint meeting. And then the final set are the last month's meeting minutes of 10 October 9th. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of October 9th, 2018.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next order of business is a continuation of public hearing for an application for site plan review at 81 Exeter Road, tax map U3, lot 137 in the B1 zone, with the proposals to remove the existing buildings and driveways to build a 2,920 square foot, two-story mixed-use building with associated parking, lighting, and drainage. It's my understanding the applicant wishes to continue this meeting, or is the applicant here?
No, the applicant's not here. He did submit a letter, as you
Okay.
indicated, and he's also given me some dates for TRC, so maybe we can talk about that a little later on.
Yeah, so maybe we can get a final get the engineers to finish their work and get a final TRC meeting set and move this forward to the December meeting.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, and the December meeting is,
December 11th.
okay. Do I have a motion to continue this application to the December 11th meeting?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve,
Continue?
meeting, to continue the meeting for December 11th. Do you want all the,
No, that's fine.
okay.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the continuance? All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next item on the agenda is Wayne and Janice Rosa, public hearing for an application for renewal of an excavation permit for the property located at 421 Wadley Falls Road, tax map R6, lot 2, in the B3 zone. Assuming Janice will step down.
I need to step
Bill will
down.
step down. We still have a full board. Daniel, I'm gonna appoint you to, hear and deliberate for Janice. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6 voting members. Gretchen, can you hear us okay?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. The applicant like to come before the board?
Wayne Rosa. My wife and I own a piece of land the gravel pit is located on.
Could we have your address, please, for Wayne, for the record?
340 Wadley Falls Road.
Thank you.
I assume everybody has the letter from Diane. Board. Pretty self-explanatory. I've owned it since 1984. It's a permitted pit, which is the reason that I'm here, every 3-year renewal. I don't know, what else how do we do?
You did great. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant at this point? Let me have Diane give a brief background on this,
Yeah.
especially for the new members, because this will continue to come up, because it is, as Mr. Rosa pointed out, a grandfathered pit, but it falls under these regulations that we have adopted for excavation.
So, under the town's excavation regulations, of which the purview is the planning board, an applicant needs to submit a reclamation plan to show how the pit will be reclaimed after the excavation work has taken place. And back in 2003, a plan was submitted by MJS Engineering, Mike Sievert, and it was a very extensive plan and included a full set of drawings and a phasing plan as to how the reclamation would occur. And as part of the renewal process, what we do is go out with the plan every time we go for renewal to assure that the excavation work is being undertaken in compliance with the plan. And we did have a site inspection of the property on October 31st of this year with Mike Hoffman, our code enforcement officer, joined me, and we met with Mr. Roser, and we reviewed the progress that he's made over the last 3 years in complying with the plan. And we noted a few items, and I have provided here a checklist that we use as sort of the framework for our inspections, and I don't feel we need to go through each and every item. If there's new members that are interested in seeing the original plan and the details, I'm more than happy to show that plan to you in the office. But I think what Mike and I found is that the plan has been followed, and the applicant is in compliance with the approved plan and the town's regulations. There are a couple of minor things that we found, and there's, under the requirements, there has to be warning safety signs, if you will, installed so that anybody coming upon the property, maybe a hunter, who knows, somebody trespassing, would, might find that there's some very steep slopes that could pose a safety issue. So we asked Mr. Rosa a couple of years ago if he would periodically refresh the signs and make sure that it's clear so that people know that they're encroaching, if you will, upon a gravel pit that could have some hazards. So there was one area where I think there was a sign that came down, Wayne, and you noted that, and he's indicated that he's more than willing to reinstate that sign so that it's clear. It was actually pretty close to Route 152. So basically, the staff recommendation, given the results of the inspection, is that the permit be renewed for another 3 years. And there are some conditions, one of which that we mentioned on the warning sign that needs to be to be relocated and installed. And also, we've included in the staff recommendations the prior approval of conditions of approval that were provided by the planning board when the original plan came in 2003. And those are listed in items, item 3 under the staff recommendations. Of course, first off, we're recommending that the plan be accepted for technical review. And we also are recommending that the applicant continue with providing to the town a performance bond in the amount of $27,000 that needs to be renewed annually to cover the reclamation work of any areas that have been open. And we understand that Mr. Rosa has a potential buyer for the lot. I believe he's here this evening. If you wanted to introduce him, Wayne, that would be nice.
Chad Bennett and Chris Bennett.
Welcome.
Okay. So, given that there'll be a new owner, we hope, then we're asking that the planning board kind of retroactively approve a written consent to allow the permit to continue under these conditions for the new owners when the property is transferred. And we explained this to the new owners when we had our site walk, because they joined us for that, or one of the gentlemen joined us, and they're in agreement with that, and Mr. Rose is in agreement with that. So given that, we would recommend conditional approval of the application this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to accept the application substantially complete?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion on the actual application as being complete? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I'll open the public hearing on the application. Does anyone here from the public have anything to say for, against, additional information? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing.
Well, I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that one of the requirements is that we notify the Conservation Commission of the pending renewal. And we did hear from the chairman of the Conservation Commission. He's provided us with a very positive, supportive letter. And the Conservation Commission has no objection to the renewal of the permit. And I wanted to share that with you. And you have a copy of this,
I do,
Mr. Rosa?
I do. It was a very good meeting with,
Yeah.
Patrick Reynolds on Saturday.
So, with that,
Okay, we'll enter that into the record. So, no comments from the public, I'll now close the public hearing. Discussion on the actual application, any questions for Diane? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the application. Excuse me. For the renewal of the excavation permit for a period of 3 years for the property located at 421 Wadley Falls Road, tax map R6, lot 2 in the B3 zone, subject to the conditions as outlined by the town planner in her memo dated November 13th, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Jane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further discussion on the motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Doucette?
You may have inadvertently used the word accept instead of approve.
Oh, approve the application, thank you.
with the conditions.
Second.
With
I
the
mean-
conditions?
With the conditions.
Okay. Friendly amendment?
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? None abstained? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Okay, one other thing. Do we need a separate vote, Diane, on the transfer of the permit?
Well, I made it one of the conditions, but if the board, if that would make you feel more comfortable, that's
Well, I
fine.
think it would make everyone
Sure.
feel more comfortable if we could.
Sure.
I don't think it's under our purview, who they, transferring the permit? Is that under our
That
That is under our
regulations?
reg- That's under our
Oh, that
regulations.
we're approving we actually
You're
approve.
supposed to approve it
specifically
in
approve.
writing prior to the transfer.
Okay.
So since
That is
that's
So as-
pending, but we don't know when that
Okay.
closing date will be.
It will be shortly, but
Okay.
we do need an approval from the.
Okay,
Right, because
so you
it's-
have the approval under the extension, now you'd like the approval to the sale, to,
Or
okay.
to allow
That
the
is correct.
transfer.
Okay. So do I have a motion approving the applicant's request to obtain prior written consent from the board to allow the permit to be transferred to the new owner of the property?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sarah, thank you. Okay, any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
All in favor?
That's it.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Congratulations.
easy.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck with
Thank
everything, Mr. Rosa, Mrs. Rosa.
That wraps up the formal business for this evening. Eric had nothing to report on the chairman's report, committee reports, any committee reports. Gretchen, anything from the town council relative to planning board issues?
No.
Conservation Commission?
I didn't have anything for the Conservation Commission, we talked about this.
Okay.
So nothing else outside of that.
Great, thank you, Sarah. SRP, regional planning? Any other committees? And so,
I do want to say that the CIP committee concluded its work and presented its recommendations to the town council. And the chairman of the committee and myself and Representative Ford attended the budget workshop on, I guess it was the 26th of October. And there were some good questions asked, and everybody, we left a copy of that in your mailbox. And I'd like to thank the CIP committee for their good work and accomplishing this project in a really short time frame. Everything went pretty smoothly this year, which was good. So, thank you.
yeah.
And Diane, to add to that, you guys did a fabulous job. You really did, and in the presentation to the town council and everything, I thought it was fabulous. So kudos.
Thank you very much.
It's a lot of work,
Yep, a lot of work. They did a great job.
so thank you for everything you did.
You're welcome.
And thanks for stepping up on the planning board, Jane, to
No, didn't
fill
do
that
much.
representative position, well, for this requirement of the board. Any other planner reports?
I'd just like to say that in December, I'd like to come forward with, sort of a status report of where we are with master plan updates and discuss with the board what we might like to do going forward. We try to tackle one chapter of the master plan every year, which, in the past, we have had some assistance from consultants and the Regional Planning Commission. So, I'd like to find out what the board's thoughts are as far as priorities moving forward and what we should tackle next. And hopefully we can move forward with some proposals to get that process underway shortly.
So can we get a grid, like a matrix before
Yeah.
that meeting?
Yeah, I have one
And I know
that,
you've been working on it, so all the current chapters, when the last
Yep.
update was done,
right,
can you flag which chapters are mandatory
yes,
under
it's already
RSA?
done. It's already,
Okay, so if we
we
can
have
get
a
that.
spreadsheet, I just
Okay.
need to update it.
And then there's some new chapters that have been, that are in the RSAs that are optional.
Right, that could be included,
Okay.
and it's up to the board. For instance, there's one on village zoning
Yeah.
and energy conservation,
Okay.
and so there might be some new areas that we want to look at as part of the update of the master plan.
So then I would request all the members of the board to kind of review that before the meeting, so it would be nice that that meeting to have a decision as to if, how we wanna then proceed forward. Do we want a committee to make, to convene and then come back to the whole board as to a recommendation of what chapters we should retain, what we may add, what we might wanna delete, and then kind of a schedule where we do it as a board.
Diane, which chapter is the oldest? Do you know?
We haven't updated the transportation chapter, which I know has been mentioned in our meetings and at the joint meeting as being something of concern, given the increasing traffic on Route 108. So that might be a chapter we might wanna look at. We have the mandatory chapters, we have updated the housing, the demographics, the visioning, and existing and future land use. But there might be other chapters that we might wanna look at. But I would say most definitely transportation, needs to be looked at. And open to input from the board as to other work. Another chapter we might consider is the community facility chapter. We have now the expertise on staff, with Greg Miles, who's doing facility planning on town facilities, and it might be a good opportunity to put together, some documentation and a framework by which the CIP projects are being recommended for implementation in the future. So that might be another section.
Bill?
Is there any grant money available?
Unfortunately, there's not money available to do grant for master planning. At one point, the state did have a 2-year program, and it was sunsetted, so to speak.
Well, what's the current budget?
Well, we
'Cause we've been
currently have
funding
funds set aside, but we've been trying to set aside $10,000 a year for 10 years so that we can do a comprehensive overhaul of the entire master plan at some point. And at this point, the year is 2025. But meanwhile, we've been working on chapter by chapter so that we at least have, some new chapters that have been updated. So it won't be as monumental of a task when that happens. But we have about $50,000 available, and the CIP this year has recommended another $10,000. So we're slowly meeting that goal, but it's gonna take us a while to accumulate the funds so we can do the comprehensive overhaul.
Yeah, I would just like to see us have a master plan where we have chapters that just don't sit on the shelf.
Yeah.
I mean, and I know that that's the case in some of these chapters. So why have to keep them in the master plan with the idea of updating them, and then you have all these recommendations and action items, 10 years later, nothing happens, so why do we have it? Then, we're just kind of going through the process just because we're supposed to update the master plan. I think it'd be better to focus on actual chapters that we as this board, feel should be in that master plan.
Makes sense. So I will get that out to everyone before the meeting, so you can look at it and review it and be thinking about it for discussion at the December 11th meeting.
That'd be great, thanks.
Great, you're welcome.
Any other comments, issues?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I'll second that.
With best wishes for everyone to have a great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All those in favor? All right. Motion, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.